No one is more anxious than an ultra ambitious person with nowhere to go. I tweeted that a few days ago, and it was one of my most viral tweets ever. And it is also probably one of my most true tweets ever. That sentence describes literally the last 5 years of my life, where I had so much insecurity and so much anxiety all the time because I had all this energy and all this ambition, all this desire to do something great. And I knew I was capable of it, but I just had no idea what to do. And so what I did is I spent all my time reading, all my time listening to podcasts, all my time on Twitter, Instagram, like filling my brain with this information because it felt like progress. It felt like what I needed to be doing, and it felt like I needed the information. This is a thin line where maybe I did need that stuff. And sure, like everything you learn affects everything you end up doing and creating. It all becomes part of you. However, I think there's things I could have done to get more into the camp of creation that I'm in now, where, I don't consume content anymore, which is a wild thing if you're watching this, because you probably consume content if you're consuming this. There's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, I consumed so much content over the last few years to get to the point now where I don't have time. I don't have time, and I know exactly what I want to do and I need to do. And so now it's just about waking up and filling the hours of the day with the work that matters, right? And to get to that point requires an incredible amount of patience, and maybe does require taking in some of that content. But I think there is a balance, and I think the way you get closer to that definite knowing that this is what you're meant to do is putting out so much stuff. You have to put out so much stuff until the answer becomes completely obvious that, okay, all I want to do is build the world of obsession, and I want to do project 1, project 2, project 3, project 4, project 5, like in this year. And I need to wake up and make the right decisions so that I can make all those projects become real, right? I never had that confidence, not in doing it, but in confidence in knowing what I wanted to do until a year ago. And then I really didn't even make progress on it until like 6 months ago, maybe, right? I was still in that phase of a lot of anxiety because I didn't know where I was going, right? But you have to get through that period of your life, I think. That is definitely the dark place where you have all of this energy and all this ambition. You want this extreme success. You know you're willing to go further. You know you're willing to literally die for something if you believe in it. You're willing to put everything you have into it. You're willing to stay up late, wake up early, give up a normal life. But you just don't know what the thing is you're meant to do exactly. And if you have that feeling, if you relate to that, that is everything. That is an incredibly special thing, right? And so you have the most important ingredient. All that matters is staying alive and keeping that intensity and that feeling of obsession alive for your answer to become obvious to you. And one day it will. And then I think when that answer becomes obvious is when you completely shift from consuming information to only creating things for the world. And that becomes a very special place to be. You literally have to turn off the world. There's a story of Bill Gates when he was in the early days of Microsoft. And this guy was in the car with him going from the airport, and he noticed Bill Gates didn't have a radio in his car. It was completely ripped out. And so the guy asked Bill, he's like, Bill, what'd you get this car used? Like, what happened? Where's the radio? And Bill's like, oh, I removed it because, I drive 15 minutes to the office every day, and I don't want to listen to music. I don't want to spend any time thinking about something that isn't Microsoft. You look at the most obsessed artists, athlete, entrepreneurs, they turn off other people. Especially ones that don't benefit their mission. But even the ones that do, like they're talking to them at select times. They're all in on their thing all the time to an extent that you cannot understand until you get to that place. I am kind of in that place. I am stepping into that zone where you turn off the world. And it is probably one of the most important parts of obsession. How to get through this period of time when you have all this anxiety and because you don't have direction is you try to optimize everything towards output. Creation cures anxiety, I believe. I believe that so much. I believe if you just wake up and focus on making things for other people, your problems will slowly get solved. There's a quote from a Tim Ferriss podcast. I forget who the guest was. It might have been Graham Duncan, I believe, because that was an epic podcast. And it was about how what you should really strive to be is relentlessly useful. And what that means is create things for other people to use to make their lives better. If you wake up and optimize for that, I believe it sends you down a path where you're putting out so much to the world and you're getting so much feedback that it slowly becomes obvious what you should do. And that is how I found that I should talk about obsession. That is how I found my thing, my one word, my mission, right? And once you have that vision, making the plans becomes a lot easier because you know where you're going. You know the end goal. Because a lot of times I used to have this feeling when I would wake up and let's say I had some stuff to do in the morning or I would go to the gym. I would feel itchy if I didn't put out something into the world, if I didn't put out a piece of content or put out something. And if you listen to this and you know that feeling, you know exactly what I mean. It's this sense of anxiety that you haven't created something. And if you have that feeling, that means you are meant to be an artist. You are meant to be a creator. You are meant to be a builder, right? That could even just be in a business, like making some tasks, getting some tasks done, doing some shit that you need to do. Damn. Making these videos is hard after taking a little gap. I took like 2 weeks off videos. And it is so not natural. It's such a muscle that you have to hit daily, I think, to be dialed where I could sit down and just go and it's perfect and there's no pauses. I still have like the confidence speaking, I think, but it's like the flow of it that takes a daily commitment. And I feel good. Now we have a nice setup. I have a lot of good energy right now and I have a lot to talk about, I think, as I enter this new chapter where now it's time to really build companies and projects around obsession. There's no excuse. I have stable sources of income now around my content and what I'm doing. And so it's a really exciting time. I think this year is going to be the most insane year of my life still. And, I'm 2 months into it and so much has changed. It's funny because I met up with a friend a few nights ago who I hadn't seen in 6 months. And there is so fucking much to update him on. Like my entire life is different now than it was 6 months ago, right? I'm working on completely different things. I look completely different, lost like 30 pounds. I'm not in a relationship I was in. Everything about my life is different. And it's funny because I used to hang out with people who I would see like once a year or a few times a year. And I didn't have much to update them on. And it used to drive me insane. I used to feel so shitty about myself after I saw them. And I would literally go into the bathroom and I would think about how I wish I had done more in the last 6 months when I saw that person. I was still dealing with the same problems, still doing the same bullshit, still working on the photo booth business that I hated. Like I said to myself in those moments, I was like, I really hope in 6 months from now, things are different. And things are different and I have something to update this person on. And this was the first time where I hadn't thought about that thought in a while, but I did it. And my whole life was different. It is wild how when you make extremely hard choices, your life can change drastically in just a few months, even 3 months, I think, because you get this incredible feeling of agency. Agency just means the ability to make change, the ability to change your life and do things, right? And that could be leaving a job, leaving a relationship, moving. I tweeted one act of extreme agency can lead to a life of extreme greatness, right? You make this extremely hard choice and then suddenly you just feel like you have a new superpower where you can go out and do all of this stuff. You can ask for things. You can change things. You can bend the world. And bend the world is super cringy phrasing, but it's literally what it is. You can bend things and move things around. You're not just existing anymore. And that becomes an incredible, incredible addiction that has to be exercised every day, or else you forget it and you start existing again. But the best entrepreneurs are constantly in this state, looking at the world as just one big game that they can move around and they can move pieces around and they could say certain words in certain orders and to get what they want. That is the game I'm playing, literally. If I say the right words in the right order at the right time to the right people, I will get everything I want in life. That is the life of a writer or a creator, really anybody. That's all we're doing here. When you get to the core of it, this is getting very like meta right now, but it's like unlimited money is at your fingertips if you type the right things on a keyboard. That is so fucking true. Like if you make the right trades, right, at the right time, you get everything you want. And all that is pressing the right things and moving your mouse around the keyboard. And so I don't know. This is a weird side tangent. I'm tired. It's 11:14 p.m. This was a nice little comeback video. Going to get this up and start ripping these. Give me some ideas in the comments for videos, whatever you want me to talk about in the world of obsession or anything you're struggling with. I'll go on a quick rant because, like I said, setup is good now. We're going to start ripping these videos again. Let's fucking go.